Hi everyone, I'm Hoodie Angel Brandon, and welcome to another Fire Emblem Heroes unit building showcase. Today, we have the easygoing ninja Kaze, who I am very excited to build. I've been looking forward to him for quite some time. Kaze is a character I really liked in Fates. I was actually really upset that you couldn't S-support him as male Corrin. And I was also disappointed when he wasn't in the game at launch. And when he was actually announced and we were giving this copy for free, this is the original neutral copy actually, I was very excited until I realized I didn't really have much use for him at the time. I couldn't think of how to build him. The one thing that I really wanted to do was like get a fire sweep dagger, but that wasn't a thing at the time. And so he just kind of sat there waiting. But now he has a refine and I'm eager to finally bring him into the Angel Army and have him help us. He will assist the Angel Army from the shadows, helping us gather intelligence and take down our enemies. Always watching, Kaze will protect us. So here we have the base Kaze that we will be using for the build. He is a plus speed version. His refine makes heavy use of speed, so this is what we will be building off of. I expected this, but I did save a plus attack version as well, just in case, but as predicted, speed is what I think will be the most valuable trait for him to have. And then, as I mentioned, this is the original neutral Kaze that we will be merging into this one. Over the years, I have amassed many Kaze combat manuals, many of which who have been foddered for attack smoke. But of course, I have also kept a good number of them on hand, just in the event that I ever got the opportunity to build Kaze. So now he will study these ninja scrolls and learn their secrets to become a Grandmaster Ninja himself. So to begin, we must raise the power of these manuals and get them prepared to pass on those secret ninja techniques to Kaze. So we will promote these 10 manuals, and now we will begin merging them into Kaze. We will start with the neutral Kaze and make him +1. There we go. Again, I'm very excited. I've been wanting to build Kaze for just so long, but I've never had a chance until now when he got his refine. Actually, that's not entirely true. I did have numerous other builds that I've come up with over the years. I had ideas for like an anti-dragon build, like an AoE nuke build, but really I wanted to wait until he got his refine so I could see how we'd be working with that. And I still could do those builds, those other builds I came up with, but I think I'd rather leave them open for other units, especially if we got like a seasonal dagger unit that I really liked in like the Grail pool, so that they could make use of those inheritable weapons a little better than Kaze, who has a pretty solid pref. Honestly, I mean, obviously I haven't used it too much yet since we're just building him now, but I like what they did with Kaze's pref. It's simple but effective. I know a lot of people were disappointed he didn't have a miracle effect to reference his skill from Fates, but did I make one too many manuals, I think? But I like the simplicity of this. I think, yes, I made one too many manuals. Oops. That's fine, I have the feathers. There we go. +10 at last. He has become a Grandmaster Ninja. With his pref, they could have done something with Miracle or something, but I really like what they did. It's fairly straightforward. I could have seen a Miracle gimmick having to rely on having a specific ally support partner, which would have been really annoying and make him pretty inflexible for like just slotting him into random teams like I like to do. So overall, I'm happy with the refine. For a 4-star unit, it's pretty solid. And when he inherited the original Kaze's skills, he also obtained the Wind Blessing that he had. naturally, Kaze just has to be wind blessed for thematic reasons. And alongside that, he inherited what few skills I had given that other Kaze, Fury and Drawback, being the only real ones, and then the refined weapon. But we will need more skills than that to work with for our Angel Assassin. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this Kaze though, because his 5-star skill is Poison Strike, which is not exactly premium. I guess I have Barb Shuriken for any other dagger unit that needs it. Now we can prepare Kaze for his future missions, and part of that is making sure he has the right equipment for the job. And there were some options I considered here. I thought about the Hoshiden hat to help him blend in with civilians while he went on his stealth missions. There's the Spy Mask, which is interesting, but I don't really like the color. It kind of stands out a little too much among his color palette. But what I think would be the best fit for him would be the Chonsen band. It just has very ninja feel to it. Also, it'll protect his forehead. Probably. Also, Kaze is now perfect, so I should swap him to that. And now we can begin inheriting various skills. As I mentioned, just in case his refine was not good, I had various ideas for him to use and various fodder saved. In case he needed a better weapon, I had ideas for like the Starfish and the Cloud Mayugi, but I don't think that will be necessary. So we can skip on the weapons this time. To start with, Reposition is a skill that every unit can make use of and is a good option for any good ninja to have. And by obtaining it from Merlinus, we can also grab Wings of Mercy, which will help Kaze sneak in through the shadows and swoop in and protect allies in a pinch, which will be very helpful and fitting for his ninja arsenal. He already has Drawback, so we don't need to grab that, but he can grab Swap to take hits for an ally in a pinch, which could be helpful with his pretty solid res. He could combo that with Wings of Mercy, especially to swoop in and swap with an ally and then take a magical hit for them. And while we're at it, we'll grab Brazen Attack Speed from Sedith, just to give him another offensive option. He's going to have probably better options in that regard, but it's not a bad thing to pick up while we're grabbing Swap anyway. Thank you, Sedith, for teaching Kaze your skills. And that Swap Wings of Mercy combo will let him kind of be a bootleg Yuri. Definitely not as good, but could be useful anyway. Next, we're going to grab Glacies with Kaze's really solid res. He can definitely make use of Glacies, and Death Blow is again another offensive option that he might just want to have in his back pocket. While I think res-based specials will be Kaze's go-to, I don't think it would be bad to also have some other specials in his arsenal as well. So we're going to grab Blue Tonebreaker and New Moon off of this 4-star Python, and then this 5-star Python will give us Moonbow and Darting Blow through Steady Blow 2, which will be helpful for another part of our inheritance chain. And like Sedith, another member of the Angel Army, Soleil has a skill to contribute to Kaze's teachings. We're going to grab Blazing Wind from her because it's thematic. And we're also going to grab Drive Res. I am trying to lean more towards debuffs than buffs for Kaze, but while we're grabbing Blazing Wind, we might as well grab Drive Res as well, just so that he has it. We'll go ahead and grab Luna as well as another option. Since Kaze's Refine does help his specials, I think having a number of options there is a good idea. In particular, Moonbow and Luna will be helpful because they can help chop through bulkier enemies, which Kaze I could see struggling with to an extent. And then finally, one of my favorite specials in Aether. Love to have this as a backup for everyone. I would also love to give him Ruptured Sky, but That is very premium, and I think I'd rather put that on Soleil first before him, since his attack is a little on the low side. As a ninja, Kaze must be able to pass by his enemies undetected, so we'll grab pass. Realistically, I don't think I'll ever use it, but it's fitting. Similarly, he must be skilled at making his escape in perilous situations. Knowing when to retreat is just as important as knowing when to press forward. Being a more offensive-oriented unit, Kaze will definitely be able to make use of things that stack with his dagger's natural debuffing effect, so things like Savage Blow and various smokes like his inherent attack smoke will also be valuable options to have, so we will grab Savage Blow from Big Sis. And while I think that more often if he wants a speed smoke he'd rather use the seal, he might need other things in the seal slot, so we'll grab speed smoke for his C skill just in case, but again I do think the seal will be more useful for that. Another A slot option that could bump up his visible attack and speed, which could be helpful if he wants to use AoE skills since his dagger does have some utility with that. And we'll go ahead and grab Speed Res Bond. Again, probably won't see as much use, but I think it could be interesting if he does need to swap in and bait a mage. That could be a useful skill since with Wings of Mercy or Escape Route he would be next to the ally anyway. A ninja must be aware of their surroundings so that enemies don't sneak up on them, so we'll go ahead and give him Vantage, as well as another AoE option from Reinhardt, just as backup skills. There we go, no one's going to get the drop on this ninja. Unfortunately, my options for good B skills for him are kind of limited, so we're going to give him Desperation. I would love to give him like Lull Speed Def, but I don't have fodder for that on hand right now that isn't saved for someone else. Similarly, I really want to get Null Follow-Up for him, which I think would probably be his best B slot option. And I do have Null Follow-Up, but the issue is that it's on these Fallen Maritas, and they have Flashing Blade 4. I was actually saving one of them for Kaze specifically because I thought he would be a good user of Flashing Blade 4. But then they put that in his weapon and it would be very redundant. So I'm going to save these for other projects and I'll just have to try and get Null Follow-Up for him in the future. But that is what I think would be his best all-around B slot option. Lull Speed Def also, again, because it would help him ignore buffs to get in and hit enemies and then debuff them. And there were other options I considered like Wind Sweep or Water Sweep, but with this A slot, I feel like they won't be as necessary. And there were other A slots I was considering as well, like Swift Sparrow 3 or Attack Speed Push, which would be useful, but I have other units that might want those a little more. So I was thinking something a little gimmicky for Kaze. I was thinking Steady Impact. It would give him something similar to Wind Sweep, where he would be able to initiate on units that target his defense a little safer, so that he could attack them, trigger debuffs, maybe get into desperation range. They wouldn't be able to follow up even if they have a guaranteed follow-up attack and kill him because of the impact effect. And he's already got good res by default, so he'd be able to initiate on mages without worrying as much, making Water Sweep a little useless. And since this also boosts his defense, it would help against dragons targeting his lower defense anyway. So I think this is just a slightly more interesting option than trying to run Wind or Water Sweep on him, though I do think those are definitely options. So we're going to grab Steady Impact, and also I really wanted to get Pulse Smoke on him. Again, it synergizes with his initiating with daggers, so he can debuff enemies and then remove any specials that could cause issues for teammates to follow up and get kills. So I think this is an interesting choice for him. So that's the only real premium fodder I have for him at the moment, but again, there were a lot of other options, so this will be a bit more of a budget build Kaze, but he definitely does have those premium options on the table in the future. So now that Kaze has obtained these ninja scrolls, he must begin to study them and learn their secrets. So he's just going to have to learn all these various skills. As always, this will be quite a time-consuming endeavor, but the path of a ninja is not an easy or a quick one. So he will learn all of these skills, and then we will return when his training is complete. Well, I don't want to use all my flowers here. I'm going to give him a few just to give him a little bit of a boost. I might give him more later, but for now that gives him a slight boost to his stats. Kaze's a humble guy. He doesn't want too many gifts. And while ninjas often work alone, they also must understand the value of teamwork. So we will be partnering him with his lord, Korin, who is also studying the way of the ninja, just to increase his combat potential. And Kaze will be imparting this knowledge to Korin. So they will begin training together. Isn't this heartwarming and wonderful? Actually, this is very cute. Alright, we have returned, and Kaze has learned all of his various skills and perfected them. So now we are ready to begin his builds. But first, I did end up adding another round of dragon flowers, just to give him a little more cushion, and because I realized it would bump his speed and res and HP to a nice and round number that just looked nice to me. It also, when we equip Kaze's needle, his attack goes up to a nice even 50, so that's very cool. So I did that. So for his builds, as I mentioned, I had a few different ideas for him, and there were even more that I could do, but I'm going to save those for potential other units in the future. But right now I've got 2.5 build ideas. One of the builds looks very similar to what I think his main build will be, but just a little more specialized towards his debuffer role. But first, let's build up his main build, so to speak, his Master Ninja set. So any of the various assist skills could definitely work here, but I think reposition is just all around the most useful. And for his assist, he could definitely make use of just about any of these, thanks to Flashing Blade making even something like Aether pretty consistent. But I think that I want to go with Glacies, because when he initiates, that would reduce it by 2. Then if the enemy follows up, then it would drop to be fully charged, and then on his follow-up, he would be able to take them out. Iceberg is probably slightly more consistent, especially since mine doesn't have null follow-up to guarantee those doubles, but I think a Glacies hitting off of his 48 res once he's in combat will be pretty dang solid for his damage output. Next, of course, he has a lot of different A slots available, but I want to go with Steady Impact, which I know this is probably not as popular of a choice as, say, Swift Sparrow or even Attack Speed Push or something like that, but it does round out his defenses, so if he has to attack someone with distant counter, he won't just immediately get flattened on the counterattack, while it still also increases his speed and gives him follow-up negation to help, since he doesn't have null follow-up, so anything that's slower than him that happens to have a built-in follow-up would be able to counterattack him. And it would also help him against some of the faster distant counter users like Spurn Tanks. So I do think that even though this isn't necessarily the most optimal A slot, it does have a use here, and it can help him survive the counterattack and get into desperation range, and then he can start just beating people up without having to worry about getting counterattacked. But of course, he could take any of these other A slots as well for different scenarios, and he also has all these B slots. Wings of Mercy and Escape Route especially could be very helpful if he's surviving and getting into Escape Route range thanks to the impact effect, or Wings of Mercy to teleport in and again, like, swap in with an ally and tank a ranged attack with his nice res. And Pass 3, again, that was kind of a joke. just because he's a ninja. But I was actually using that on the training maps while I was grinding his SP, and it was actually surprisingly helpful, being able to just walk through enemies so that he wouldn't get boxed in. And for his C slot, he's got a lot of options. Pretty much any of these support options could be useful. Savage Blow gives him some chip. Attack Speed Smoke stack with his Dagger 7 from his pref. But the main thing I wanted was Pulse Smoke so that he could go in, soften up enemies, and remove any pre-charged specials so that his allies can get in and finish things off on the softened up enemies. And Pulse Smoke was admittedly the main thing that I wanted to get for him. Steady Impact was more of a throw-in that I noticed I could grab for him at the same time. For his seal, there are a number of different options that he could take. He could take Life and Death, Swift Sparrow. Really, I think anything that improves his speed would be useful. He could take a Brazen to synergize with that Desperation. He could also take something more support-oriented, like a Smoke skill to stack with his Dagger. If we ever get like Panic Smoke, that could also be a really fun option. But I was thinking either Speed Def Solo could be really good if he's not running Wings of Mercy or Escape Route, to again just kind of stack up on his speed and def. Or he could run, if he's running one of those, he could take Bond skill, or he could just stick with a player phase niche with something like Swift Sparrow or even Steady Blow, which is kind of what I want to go with, just because no one else is going to use that. Again, Solo will give him slightly more stats, but does have that condition. And with all of this, his speed will jump up to +8 from his needle, putting him at 53, +7 from Steady Impact, putting him at 60, and +4 from Steady Blow, which would put him at a nice 64 speed, which is pretty dang solid for a Gen 2 unit. And that's before any other speed buffs that my teams tend to stack. Further on defense, he has 23 base, and an additional 10 would put that at 33, and then another 4 or 6 if he's running the solo would put him at either 37 or 39, which would actually make him have a pretty decent amount of defensive bulk, even on his lower defense, which is pretty solid considering that he's pretty unlikely to be doubled between his high base speed and the impact effect. And with that level of defense, he should be able to take a hit from just about anything short of an explosion, which, speaking of, can we just, what was up with that in Birthright? What was up with that? I don't even hate that as a mechanic, but like, why? Going on a bit of a tangent, I just think it's very weird that they just kind of did that to Kaze. And again, I don't hate that as a mechanic, but I feel like it should have been conveyed to the player in some fashion, and it's really weird that it was a mechanic they only did with Kaze. I'd actually like to see that kind of a support use this unit, or they could permanently leave you mechanic actually explored further in a game with like more characters and have it actually impact the story more. Yeah, I don't know what was up with that, but poor Kaze. We've got him as supported now, so we don't have to worry about that. But this is his main set, so to speak. It might need some adjustment. Again, I'd like to get null follow-up eventually, and once we get null follow-up, he might prefer something like Swift Sparrow, but I thought this was an interesting way to use a skill that maybe doesn't see as much use. Alright, for the second build, it's somewhat of an offshoot of that last one. Of course, we're going to take his needle. We'll take drawback just for some variety, but the assist, as usual, it's kind of map dependent. And for this one, I think we're going to go Iceberg, just because I think this one will be less about him attacking and doing big damage, so having a slightly more consistent special could be helpful. And in his A slot, again, could take any of these, but we're going to go Steady Impact for that survivability. Though for his B slot, I think this one would shine more for something like Poison Strike or Wings of Mercy or Escape Route or even Pass. I mean, it actually could help, since this is more of a debuff-oriented set, using Pass to strategically take out a squishy unit and then spread debuffs on the opponents so that your allies could clean up the tankier enemies could actually be useful, but I'm going to go with Poison Strike, so that if he has to take one of those tanky enemies, he is still doing some extra chip damage to him. And then finally, we're going to run Attack and Speed Smoke in the Sea and Seal. The Pulse Smoke, Panic Smoke, or even something like Fatal Smoke would be great options here as well. So this is sort of a dedicated debuffer set, kind of close to what I originally wanted to do with him, where I wanted to get him a Fire Sweep Dagger to use Dagger 7 with Attack and Speed Smoke to just stack debuffs on opponents. And I like this as like a sort of tactical debuffer because you can, unlike something like Chills, you can, or even a Menace, you have a little more control over who exactly you're debuffing so you're not triggering some nasty effects like Unity skills. So nothing too fancy, but I think this would be a perfect partner for Chris using his Plegian Axe. And finally, the third set, and the one I'm the least sure about, this will be actually kind of interesting to test, is a sort of combo chip damage AoE build. Part of Kaze's Needle's effect is that it deals 5 damage per unit's attack, including when dealing damage with a special triggered before combat. So I think he could use AoE specials to some effect. We're going to go ahead and grab Drawback again. But this time we're going to take Blazing Wind, very thematic for Kaze. This is going to be his Divine Wind set. And for that, we are just going to stack his visible attack and speed as high as possible with Life and Death 3, which does mean we lose that survivability, and we're a good deal more squishy physically. But we do still have pretty solid res thanks to base 35 even with Life and Death, and then an additional 8 from his dagger. So magical attacks, he'll still be able to tank pretty well. And then here, I think he might want Special Spiral, but I'm not sure enough on this build to invest that here. I think this build would probably work better if I had Dancer support, but for now we're going to go Poison Strike, just to get that extra chip damage in. And then we're going to run Savage Blow, and I think that would be really good for Fatal Smoke, and I think that's how you would want to run this build seriously to kind of differentiate it from, say, a Pain Plus healer with Savage Blow, which I think would just be easier and more efficient thanks to Dazzling Staff. I think if you wanted to seriously run this build, you'd probably want to get Fatal Smoke here. And we could run a second Savage Blow to stack on the chip damage, but I think that it's a little more important to have that extra attack and speed from Life and Death. So we're going to drop his res again, which now it's still at 38, which is still pretty respectable, though it is looking a little shakier. But that's an AoE build that I really want to try out, but I'm not totally sure about. I just think it's interesting that he has that kind of AoE utility as a potential option. So those are the 3 main builds. Again, I had other ideas, including like a Dragon Slayer set. And of course, he can also run the Wings of Mercy or Escape Route Ninja Tricks. But I feel like that is more of an offshoot of like the second or first build, depending on how you want to play it. If you want to play it more defensively with just more debuffs, it'd be more like set 2 here. And if you wanted to play it more offensively as kind of a jump-in Wings of Mercy cleanup assassin, then it would be more of an offshoot of this. But pretty flexible, has a lot of options for sure, and I'm interested to see how they actually play out in practice. So we are here in Arena Assault to have Kaze showcase the results of his training. To start, I wanted to lead in with the set that I'm the least confident about, which is the AoE set. It seems interesting, but I'm just not sure how well it'll actually work in practice. We are running the double life and death to give him more punch, but he could definitely run Hardy Bearing, which would turn off Vantage, which is probably the biggest immediate weakness of this set. The other one is that it will be slow to get off the ground. He does need to actually fight before he can actually trigger the AoE. So he has to do at least one combat before that ever actually triggers, since we're not running like Infantry Pulse or anything. So that could be an issue. But we did bring Soleil, who has her Fire Sweeper Fine, which could combo pretty well with Kaze and turn off the need for Hardy Bearing, since she can prevent Vantage users from following up, thanks to her Refine. And she can also make use of the dagger debuffs that he provides, so that she could drop Defense Smoke and run something else, like she could take Infantry Pulse actually, since she's got the HP for it to trigger that on him, though we need more Infantry Pulse users to really do that. In fact, we could probably run someone else with Infantry Pulse alongside them, and they could provide it for Soleil, which would let her run a 4 cooldown count Gale Force. That's actually interesting. But she could also run something like Joint Hone Attack and provide attack buffs for both her and Kaze. That could be useful. Speaking of attack buffs, we have Klein, who's mostly here for that, to trigger attack speed link and pull him in and out of the way. And then we have Korin, who's here for general support. He can debuff enemy speed for Kaze, just in case he's barely missing a follow-up, and also provide guard support. And then he's also got general drive, speed, drive attack, and his rally. And it's just fitting to have Kaze's Lord here to witness the product of his training. So we're going to go in here, and we got Fjorm, who could be troublesome because of her Savior skill, but she might just end up getting left behind, honestly. They're not running other armors with like Armor March or anything, so they might just leave her behind, though I guess probably not, since they're gonna move up there. Yeah, we don't want to have Fjorm trigger that. We're going to pull down like this and try and no, I wanted them to break off from the group. We'll move Kaze down here. Yeah, not a good idea regardless. And then we'll have Soleil pull up and maybe move Kaze down here, and we'll cause them to break off a little. There we go. Let's have Soleil will attack Hannah. She can do that safely, and we'll use drag back to pull her off the tile. So now Kaze can come up and attack, finish her off. There we go. Unfortunately, we still have one more on the special before it's charged, and we do have to worry about Eliwood, so we're going to pull up and just move Korin up again. Eliwood will give chase, and now we can have Kaze attack Eliwood, charge the special. There we go, and it's ready for next round. And Nemesis is going to move up onto here. We'll be able to pull him off and then slap him with the needle. Sounds good. Alright, we're going to move Korin down one. Actually, I guess we didn't need to move Korin at all. Yeah, so we can't quite do that. But, and I didn't realize that the AoE was that small. I knew that the stronger AoEs were really small, but this is smaller than I expected, so might want to use one of the ones that have a bigger range, even though it'll do less damage, because that's just not really going to hit anyone realistically. So that's something that we can definitely change. We can get him, I think it's Growing Wind is the one that has wider range, or we could try something with a different pattern. But I like the wind ones just because it's Kaze. You know, he's an easy breezy boy, and he needs that wind. But let's see. Let's start with doing that. Still no. Pull you back. There we go. So now drop the wind, take him out, and bam, there he goes. And now it's just Fjorm, and she could be troublesome, but not for Soleil. Yeah, Kaze's strong, but he's just not going to break through that ice mirror and safely take her out. So we'll just have Soleil finish the job. Bam. Nice to see Soleil get in there and do some work. But yeah, so not bad. The AoE did take out Nemesis safely, but definitely not as sure about that build. Could definitely tweak some things. Swap in maybe Hardy Bearing over the Life and Death, because that is something I hadn't really considered, was that Kaze might actually overkill the opponent, take him out in one hit, and then not be able to actually charge his special properly. So that's something to keep in mind. Might want to drop Life and Death for Hardy Bearing just so that he's not overkilling opponents, and maybe get him that infantry pulse support, even just from Soleil. That would have let him charge up the special, and it would have been up online earlier. Even if he didn't do the follow-up attack, that would have let it be ready to go after just one attack regardless. And maybe get the bigger AoE skill, just because that was a little pitiful in the range that it was actually covering. So those are some things that we could definitely change on that. But overall, not as bad as I was expecting. That functioned. Alright, next we are testing the dedicated debuff set using Dagger 7 in conjunction with Attack Speed Smoke for an Omni debuff effect. The most obvious choice for a partner for this particular set is Chris, whose axe can compound the attack and defense debuffs. And he also appreciates the debuffs coming from Kaze, so he can afford to drop his chill attack and smoke skills for things like lull attack speed and speed res form for improved survivability. We also have New Year's Corrin. Kaze and his lord are fighting alongside each other once again, and he is once again receiving Kaze support. He can drop defense smoke for time pulse for access to more consistent dead eyes, and also he can use the attack and speed debuffs to tank hits and get into vantage range more safely. And finally, perhaps the oddest choice is Papagarin, a bit of an ironic pick considering the whole attempted execution. Hopefully things don't get too awkward. And he can drop attack smoke in favor of panic ploy to prevent enemies from breaking through his defenses. And also being a dragon, he can take advantage of both the def and res debuff from Dagger 7 to hit both sides of that. And also his speed is kind of awkward, so he can use the speed debuff to double some of the slower, more min-maxed units, and also prevent doubles from units in more of a mid-tier speed range. So I think he might actually work decently with Kaze, as weird as that sounds. And what do we got here? Edelgard. Okay, no savior skill. I was mostly worried about the savior skill soaking up our debuffs. We've got some other stuff here, but it doesn't look too bad, I think. The savior skill is the main thing I was worried about. So, yeah. I think we're going to start by moving up and taking out Micaiah, since she looks like the biggest threat. Alright, they move down. Kaze is going to go up and take her out, slap her once, tank the counterattack Kaze, and return with an iceberg. Bam, down she goes. Alright, we are going to, no. Okay, Corrin is not a good choice. I don't think he can tank her and Ares, so we're gonna have no, because then Ares will hit Chris. I don't know if he can tank that. We'll have Chris repo Garen over. It's the shield that means I don't want to try and use Corrin to tank her. And then again, like I said, Ares. But I think with the debuffs in place, Chris and Garen can tank these. So we're going to have Garen pull Kaze out. And yeah, Ares attacks into Garen. I just wasn't sure if... Yeah, he's doing a good chunk of damage to Garen even. I wasn't sure if Chris could tank that and Minerva. Here comes Minerva. He's doing okay with those debuffs in effect. Maybe, but better safe than... Okay, we don't want to attack Ares because of the Vantage effect. So we'll have Kaze take down Minerva. Bam. Drop some debuffs. And now Corrin can take her out. Take him out. Garen can too, but would rather use Corrin so that Garen's special is saved. Hit him twice. Hit him with the Deadeye. And down he goes. Okay. So we'll just repo Garen over. Don't want to attack into her. Okay. I think if we tank with the stance skills, we'll be fine though. So even though that looks a little scary, I think we've got this. Let her attack into us. Yeah, we're not taking too much. Hit her with the Aether. Heal up. And her second attack. Hit her again. Alright, yeah. I think we got that. We could take her out there, but use Kaze. Bam. Goodbye, Edelgard. Still not a fan. Good job, Kaze. So yeah, didn't get debuffs all over the place, but he did manage to spread them here and there, and they did help Chris tank Minerva, which was important. Alright, so finally we are testing the Grandmaster Ninja set. Kaze is going to showcase all his shinobi secrets. And also I guess I did end up kind of making him kind of mixed in terms of defenses, oops. But we're going to leave everyone else in place. We're just going to have Kaze go in and fire off a bunch of big attacks. We do have Chris to still take advantage of those debuffs, but everyone else is fine, I think. So, yeah, let's just go. Alright, what have we got here? Nothing too scary. Seteth is always nice to see. I guess Faye might be a bit of an issue, but we do have Chris, so I think with color advantage he'll be able to take care of her. So we're just going to move up, let them come to us. Take it nice, take it easy. After all, Kaze is the easygoing ninja. Seteth is going to go down first, just because he is supporting and we don't want those buffs on the enemy. And then we'll pass. Once again, let them funnel down to us. Let them initiate, we'll react and take them down as they become threats. Hit Astrum, remove more buffs from their field, and pass. Okay. Yeah, they're making this pretty easy because they aren't even destroying that structure there. So we'll take down Echidna. Hit her once. She'll counter, but we endure thanks to that impact and take her down. I mean, I guess we would have survived without the impact, but we're in a bit more of a nice position HP-wise. And with those debuffs on Faye, I think we can safely send Chris up to tank her. Okay, yeah, she's not doing too much to us. And we'd actually take her down right here in one shot if it weren't for her cheating. Cheating chicken. Okay. Don't want to do that. Yeah, don't want to attack into her. It's just not going to be good. What's causing that? Oh yeah, Dragon's Ire. Got it. Alright, yeah. So don't want to attack into her, but I think it's fine if we just let her attack into us. Move everyone up for the speed res form. And then pass. Okay, yeah, we're fine. She hits us. Chris endures. And down she goes. Good job. Yeah, Kaze was doing more damage than I expected. He was firing off some pretty nice attacks. And even though he needed some help for Faye from Chris, I think that was fine because, we still used the debuffs on her to tank that first encounter, which gave us enough HP for the second round. So, still counted as a win. Great job, everyone. So, that is our showcase of Kaze. A nice easygoing showcase for the easygoing ninja. And yeah, I'm overall pretty pleased with how he turned out. Bit of a more mid-tier in terms of investment, nothing too fancy, but still really pleased with his performance. Definitely could change a few things here and there, maybe give him the growing AoE special, swap in Hardy Bearing over that Life and Death. Could definitely use Null Follow-Up or even a lull skill, but overall for, again, not too much investment, pretty pleased with how he turned out. And those upgrades can come over time. They're not super high priorities right now. I think he's still doing quite well. So hopefully you maybe got some ideas if you were interested in building Kaze. If not, hopefully you just enjoyed this, found it interesting, and either way, thank you guys as always so much for watching. Until next time, this is Hoodie Angel Brandon and Kaze signing out.